I want to talk a little bit about goals today. And we went over this yesterday at our GPS class. And honestly, yesterday's GPS class was fun because we got zeroed in on the numbers, right? And what we went through yesterday was the business planning clinic exercise on if you would like to make $250,000 of net, how much GCI do you need to make? And how does that GCI break down to and how many sellers and how many buyers? And how does that break down to then how many appointments do I need each week, right? And we went through that whole data so the people who attended could walk out and say, all right, I need to talk to or I need to have appointments with X number of people every week to hit my goal. That's powerful information, right? But what I wanted to kind of touch on from that workshop is some of the mindset stuff that came out of it. And we're going to be going over the lead generation model today as well. But this is a powerful slide right now. Now, we know about New Year's resolutions, and I've talked about the power of temporal boundaries before. We know that at the turn of a new year, people are 82% more likely to commit to a life change because they believe future self is going to be this incredible person. Future self is finally going to do it. The problem is future self always catches up, right? And then what you find out is future self is still your same self, right? Now, setting goals is good. In fact, if you write down your goals, you're 42.1% more likely to achieve them. And that's where most of us end. Or we'll tell people, oh yeah, I'm starting this new diet. Or oh yeah, I'm going to do this year. Or oh yeah, I'm going to do that. And that's where it ends. But what the studies show is if you give someone permission and you bring accountability into those goals, you're 72.6% more likely to achieve them. So you've set a goal to make $250,000 in real estate this year. It's a good goal, right? By yourself, if you write that down, you're 42% likely to achieve it. Just, kind of rough. Like, does that make sense? Less than 50% chance. Your chances are an F, right? If you give someone permission to hold you accountable on a regular basis, you now move to a 72.6, you passed, right? And so this has got to be something we're having conversations about in this market center because we would like to be the 72.6% who pass and get the grade, right? And so are you thinking about those annual goals? And if you are, who is going to hold you accountable to that? Small groups are an incredibly powerful vehicle for accountability. And the best small groups, the most sustainable small groups are the ones that are self-formed, right? If I come from the top and I impose a small group on you and I say, all right, you're in group A and you're in group B and you're in group C and you're with a group of people who you don't click with, you probably will stop going to group A, B, and C and the accountability won't mean much. But if there are people you have a relationship in the market center and you say, hey, we're going to group up in a group of 3 to 5, we're going to meet once a week to check in on goals, we're going to go out to lunch once a month, guess what? 72.6. Powerful. Powerful in your business. And so I'm going to highly encourage you to start getting connected on a deeper level within the market center. This is the Keller Williams advantage over the rest of the industry. The rest of the industry is going to lean heavily on the you're an independent contractor, or we're going to say nobody succeeds alone, right? And so take advantage of that here in the market center. And if you need help finding those connections or you need help for a format, talk to me, talk to one of our ALC members, talk to Ray, talk to Sam, talk to Melanie. We want you to achieve at a very high level in 2023 because the truth is, this is when an empire will be built. The groundwork laid in a down market is the foundation of a dominant real estate empire in an up market. Because the growth, what we've shown is if you can take market share in a down market, it grows with the market, right? And the market always comes back. And so to do the work, 72.6% more likely to succeed with the group means that when the market comes back, if you can hit your goals, guess what happens when the market goes up? So anyway, that's the first slide. So what are, yeah, Brent.
Well, I just was going to say, so if you take that 250 that you have and you only get to 72.6%, that's still $181,500. That's a heck of a year.
Sucks. No, I mean, yeah, it's a good year, right? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, so real quick, talk to people around you. Find somebody who you would connect with, and what are your goals? You're wild, crazy, audacious. What, just let's kind of step out. What would you like to do in 2023? And don't let anything, just make the statement. Does that make sense? Don't self-censor. On your mark, get set, go. Times have told us that it's time to come on back. All right, I'm going to count back from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, we'll get started at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on back. Come on back. It's fun to talk about goals. I mean, it is, right? It's fun to talk about goals. It is. I love, every year, man, I start out and I'm like, woo, goals. So good, right? Because again, future me is amazing. Present me kind of sucks. No, future me, but right? We would like to give future me the resources he needs or she needs to be that person, right? And the truth of the matter is, I say this all the time, the lone wolf dies. It's a death sentence, right? We know that the pack is always stronger than the individual. And so really, let's form those packs so we continue to grow. What I want to look at today are some of the foundational models. And this is just critically important in this time, right? We know that the fundamentals are what give a business its solid foundation. And so yesterday in our business planning clinic, we went over the economic model. We went over the numbers needed to get to, let's say, a $250,000 net. And I'm just going to real quick, what we came out to was you would need about $325,000 of GCI, right? And what that broke down to when we got it into, what's that? Gross commission income. Thank you, Sam. Yeah, thank you, Sam. All right, what we came down to was, and I'm not going to go through all of it because this was yesterday, but basically what it broke down to was about 31 appointments on the buyer side each month. Pardon me, it was about 3 buyer side appointments each month and 3 listing appointments each month. That's what it came down to. To get to that GCI, to get to that net, and we calculated about a 15% cost of sale and a 15% operating expense. Because I know we talk about 30, 30, 40, and that's what we talk about when we get to a millionaire net, right? But if we're looking at a 250 net, those costs are going to be significantly less. And so this is an estimate. But 3 buyer appointments a month, 3 listing appointments a month at about a 75% conversion rate equaled about $250,000 of net. That's powerful information, right? Because now I know what I need to work for. I need to set these appointments. See, what happens to a lot of us when we get to our goals is we focus on $250,000 of net, and that is a killer, right? Or we focus on $325,000 of GCI, and But if all I have to do is set 3 buyer appointments a month and 3 listing appointments a month, then all I need to do is I need to call people until I get those appointments. I need to run, my lead generation sources until I get those appointments. Are those huge numbers?
Not when you break them down.
Not when you break them down. If you ran a bold 100 every week, you think you'd get those numbers? Mm-hmm. Out of 100 conversations, 400 conversations a month, are there 6 appointments there? What's the percentage? Well, the percentage is 6%, right? And so let's just for a second, if the percentage is 6%, if you ran 100 contacts a week, do you know what the percentage of people are going to move on any given year? 6%. So if you would like a $250 net, $250,000 net, it's really simple. Just make 100 contacts a week, and on average, you're going to hit 6% of the population that's looking to sell in a year.
Many would love $250 net.
What's that?
Many would love $250.
$250 net would be good for people. Yeah, that's some people. Yeah, this month I'd love it. It's simple, right? But simple doesn't mean easy, and that's why we go back to the 72.5% more likely, 0.6% more likely if someone is holding you accountable. Is it easy to make 100 contacts a week? No. It isn't, right? Is it impossible? No. But we have to commit and time block, and we have to have somebody who can call us when we're like, oh, I just had all those, I had stuff going on, You can have reasons or you can have results, but you can't have both. And, do you give someone permission to help you get to your 250K of net? Right, these are the things that we've got to look at as we consider the next year. So looking at the foundational models of Keller Williams, we know that to get to this, we're going to have to be prospecting based and marketing enhanced. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this slide, but when I talk about marketing, I'm thinking about money-intensive and passive streams that are long-term results. Meaning I'm saturating a neighborhood with postcards for 2 years to get name recognition, right? That's a long-term marketing approach. I'm doing internet advertising so they see me everywhere. That's a long-term approach, right? Typically, that postcard is not going to generate an instant response. It might, but it typically won't. And the numbers for the MREA are about 50 to 1. For every 50 people you postcard, you get 1 result. We know that those numbers have declined over time, right? So marketing is good. It's part of it. And the truth is we can do it a lot cheaper now just by exploiting social media within your sphere of influence. So marketing's good. But if all you're doing is marketing, you better have a lot of money and you better have time, right? If you want instant results, then you have to do prospecting. It's time intensive, right? To get to 100 contacts a week is time intensive. You gotta have to commit to it. Now what they show is to get it done in, I think it was 2 to 3 hours, it's 6 minutes per contact. So you have to get good at having a conversation with somebody at about a 6-minute interval, right? Now the good news is a lot of those people you call won't pick up the phone, right? But how do you connect and establish a connection that can lead to something more within 6 minutes or maybe 15, right? It's real simple. Hey, just calling to catch up. How are you doing? Oh, I'm doing great. Oh, that's fantastic to hear, the 4 questions, the how. Hey, you know what? I wish I had more time. When can we grab coffee? Okay, good. On to the next call, right? Because you're setting an appointment at that point for a deeper connection. We'll talk about one to connect in a second in the lead generation model. So you just did a call, part of your quarterly calls. Now you set a coffee date. That's a one to connect. You're cementing yourself as a realtor of choice in their minds. It's a progression. So time intensive. Yeah, yes.
I just want to kind of clear up, maybe other people think the same thing. So like when you ask us these questions like about having the connection, how many appointments do you make? So when like the scenario you just gave, you consider that as one of your appointments?
I wouldn't consider that one of my 3. No. I would consider, because to get to the numbers, right, to get to the 25K, that's 6 listing appointments, 6 buyer broker agreement appointments. 6 coffees won't get you there, but the coffees will get you the listing into the buyer broker. Does that make sense? That's I wouldn't count that the same for that. Is it good?
Like when you said the connection, I think, well, I do that, but that, I don't know, I never count that as that.
Right.
So I wanted to clear out because maybe other people think the way.
Where I would count that is in your 36 touches, right? It's part of that cocktail, and we'll talk more about this in a second. But that coffee really goes into your 36 touch, right? That's where it is. Now, when that coffee turns into a listing appointment, then you count it as one of my 3 for the month, okay? Any questions on that? Cool. All right, so one of the things that we've found, and this is Keller Williams data across the company internationally, is most of the business comes from 4 sources, right? Now, you'll notice it doesn't say which 4 sources, because that's not the question. It's just the people who are doing business typically have business coming in from 4 sources, and amongst those, one of them is usually about 41%, right? And so, where do you think the 41% is? Database. Because database is where you get referrals, right? See, people who say that I'm a referral-based only business, what they're saying is, I'm a database-only business, right? Because referrals come from relationships. So number 1 lead generation source in every agent's world has got to be database, right? This is going to be your lowest cost, highest return every single time, right? This is going to be your bread and butter, your database. Now, what the data shows right now is 201 plus contacts in your database on average. The agents who have 201 plus, on average, are doing 6 figures, about $119,000 in GCI, or pardon me, in net, or GCI, I can't remember. Anyway, but they're six figures, right? 201 plus. Now, 201 plus that just sit there and don't do anything aren't going to help you. But 201 plus that you're in contact with generates about 6 figures of income. So if you're an agent and you don't have business, what's the thing you need to be focused on the most? 201 plus. If you have 201 plus and you're not getting business, what does that tell me about your database? You're not working in a systematic way, right? 201. So it basically, we know that if you have 201 plus, 201 to 1,000, you're going to be doing on average 6 figures, right, of income. And now what's interesting is this is data direct from Command. But going back for a second, what I want you to talk about real quick is what are your 4 sources? All right, we know that database is number 1. That's a really screwy looking E. What are the other 3 that you can be employing? Talk to each other. Ready, mark, get set, go. Yep. All right. About 15 seconds. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. I guess I can stop. Good. Hey, so what did you come up with? What are the lead generation sources? Yeah, over here. Social media, sure. I'm going to write it down. I don't know where it goes in the, I'm going to get rid of the numbers right now, but we'll go social media. Debbie, you said events? Events, yeah. And I'm sorry if you're trying to read this. What else? Cold calls? Sure. Let's qualify that. What's a cold call? Right. So expireds? Yep. Expireds and for sale by owner. Okay, so farming. Okay, what else? Open houses, yeah, totally. This is why I'm not a teacher. What else? Networking? Okay. What does networking mean? What's networking?
So many different things, but you can be in like a STARS network where you're with some group of people and you become the real estate agent of that group.
Okay.
Refer back and forth.
So like Toastmasters, networking.
Like at Toastmasters, you can
Okay.
do the Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of
you can
Commerce,
do-
Rotary Club. Coaching a sixth grade basketball team. Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to go well. Okay, what else? Yeah. No court, actually. Anyway, anything else? Okay, Knights of Columbus, Bible study, all of these things, right? Investor clubs, volunteering with Humane Society, right? Churches, absolutely. Guys, it's almost limitless, right? Okay, what else? What other lead generation sources are there? Paid ad, that's marketing now. Now we're in market. This is, and it could be, right? But let's stick to prospecting based. But yeah, we can go marketing. Let's just add marketing. Might be one of your sources. Okay, I can't write backwards. I can't write forwards. Let's be honest. Okay, marketing. There you go. I know. Investors? Yeah. The Google. I'm going to put that under marketing for right now, okay? And social media social media kind of is in a weird fuzzy place between. Okay, so the point is, you got a lot of options, right? We know that this is the king, right? And we'll talk about why in just a second. But this is absolutely the king. Database will always be number one. We never neglect the database. But when we say, like, for instance, say you made all your calls, now what? Ta-da, right? Say that you don't have enough contacts in your database, now what? Ta-da, right? But the thing is, and this is the important part of the slide in my mind, it has to be thought out, intentional, time on task over time. It's not everything. It's, I'm going to focus on my database and my next priority is social media, maybe. Or my next priority then is for sale by owners and expireds. Or my next priority is networking meetings, right? And only you can really define what number 2 is, but there has to be a number 2, right? And then if number 2 isn't working, then we go, okay, what's number 3, right? And the challenge of this is, like if farming's number 3, you can't drop the ball on any of them. We have to focus on this. This is our number 1 priority, then this. But if we want things to pay off, we have to time block and prioritize. Because like if you're farming and then you skip a month, you're not farming anymore, right? And so, or if you're networking and you miss meetings for 6 months, guess what? You're not networking anymore, right? And so how do I prioritize these things? And that's where a tool like the 411, Keller Williams 411, which we'll be doing some more trainings on coming soon, is critically important because it tells you exactly what you're going to do this week and it gives you a metric by which to judge it. And you can take that to your accountability and everybody can compare their 411s and we can all be honest, we can be 72.6% more likely to achieve if we do that. Right? So, what are your 4 sources? What's the number 1? And that's where we're going to be focused in the first quarter, is every agent in this market center is going to get to 201 plus. Because we know that that's the first thing that we can do to get your business where you would like it to start, right? Good. So what are your 4? So this is the database model, and this is why this is always king. Because how the database model works is, I'm doing social media, right? I'm strengthening my relationship in social media. I've got followers who are acquaintances, but through DMs and comments, we developed a relationship. I've got their information. Now I have their phone number. Now I've got their email address. Now I've got their birthday. Do they still live in social media? No. They go into the database, right? Okay, or I work for sale by owners, and I do cold calls for sale by owners and for expired listings. All right, so I've made the calls, I've established some relationships, but I haven't necessarily been able to get anybody under contract. Where do they go? In the database, right? Okay, I went to the network meetings, and I really love those meetings. We're making really strong connections. I'm doing lunches with people. I'm doing coffees with people. Where do they go? Into the database, right? So all of these things feed this. One of the things we didn't say is internet leads. Internet leads are valuable, powerful, OpCity, Ojo, those type of things, not for the amazing conversion rates, because the conversion rates are low, but they're giving you a permission to talk to a large volume of people to get them in your database so that you can begin developing a relationship with them. You can move to your 201 plus and more so, right? That's the power of those tools, so use them as such, right? We do want the direct when we can get it, the 6%, let's say, but we also want to keep that name forever. We want them to think of you when they think of real estate. So everything comes back to the database. This is why the database is king, right? We do our lead capture. Leads come in. We develop relationships. We prepare those for conversion. Then we either get new and repeat or referrals. So an Ojo contact that doesn't convert, that can only buy a tiny little mobile home out in the middle of the desert, and they can't even qualify for that. Are they worth putting in the database? You better believe they are. Why? Because they've got friends. Their mom is rich, right? You don't know. You don't know. But that's your referral, right? The relationship is what's important. And so we think about these lead generation sources. They're not instant deals. They're relationships. And relationships is how you form your tribe, and that's how you have that business, right? So this is what we want to continue to think of. I said 201 plus. Here's the data on 201 plus. The average age of an agent who has a 201 plus in our database, and I bring this up is because I have a lot of older people like me who will say, and I'm about 47, so there you go, but the average agent with 200 plus is 48 years old, right? So if you're saying that databases and all of this is just for the younger people, it isn't, because in Command, the average age is 48.2. The average years in real estate is 9.7. So if you're saying, well, you know, this isn't the way I do it, and I don't like to learn new things, and all those things, the average age of an agent with 200 plus, or the average years is 9.7. They had to learn new tricks, right? Average tenure is 5.4. And so their business grew because of the use of the database, right? Now what's interesting is the people under 201 contacts, average 10 years means the time they've been at Keller Williams. They've been here 4.5 years, and the number of them is 79,000 agents who don't. And their average year is 7.9. Looking at the next thing, and this is where I think there's some power, the average agent with 201 plus contacts has an 8.1 listings sold every year. They're cappers, basically, right? 8.1 listings. The average agent with 201 plus contacts has a closed volume of 3.2 million. They're cappers, right? And so if you look the other way, the agents under 200 plus 1 have a listing sold of 2.7. So this is the power of a database. If you run a database, you jump into a different category. And it is a dramatically different thing. But again, the contacts can't just live in the database. They have to be interacted in the database. We've got to be implementing the lead generation models, right? And so we have to be communicating with everybody in a systematic way. So conversation right now. Who's running a 36 touch in their database? Are you running a 36 touch in your database? On your mark, get set, talk to each other. If you are new and if you don't know these models, talk to people who aren't. Okay? Right. Yeah. Good conversation. So, how you guys doing? Are we running them? Got very quiet all of a sudden. Okay, this is your business. Now, I just told you that to get to $250,000 of net at a 15% cost of sale and 15% overhead, right, you needed to have 3 seller appointments a month, 3 buyer appointments a month for a buyer broker or a listing, right? That's to get there. And the way we have to get there is by working in our databases, right? So here's the question. If you're not running that, do you just not want to make money? Really? I mean, truly, right? And there are some people who don't, and that's okay, right? But if you want to make money, run the play. Run the play. And why don't we run the play? Well, I don't, imperfect something is better than perfect nothing, right? I'm worried I'll annoy people. Imperfect something is better than perfect nothing, right? I don't really know that my emails are that great. I got to get the perfect email. Imperfect something is better than nothing, right? Now, in our 36 touch, we're going to prioritize things even in there. Just like in our lead generation sources, we have our first, second, third priorities. In our 36 touch, we have got to prioritize your 4 calls a year, the quarterly calls. Everything else that you do is there to support those 4 calls a year. Every other touch, client events, postcards, social media posts, emails, all of those things is to support the 4 calls a year so that when you do your 4 calls a year in the database, they're warm calls, right? They've heard about you, right? They remember you. You don't seem distant and far away. The beautiful thing is 1 call every 3 months has the power to make us, to keep relationship. What's fascinating is when I call people just once a quarter, every 3 months, it doesn't seem like a long time to them because they're just as busy or busier than I am, right? So imperfect something is better than nothing, but you've got to be serious with yourself. If I'm not doing this, why? And if my why to not do it is more important than my desire to make money, I will never do it. And most of us, the reason we don't engage in these things is it's uncomfortable, right? It's hard to get started. It feels unnatural. And we're worried about looking stupid, right? So here's the thing. Again, Gary Keller says this all the time. If you want the results, then you have to do unnatural things, right? If you want massive results, you have to do unnatural things. Most of us intuitively have relationships. To have relationship at scale, we need to systemize it. And that feels unnatural. Is there anything wrong with it? No, it's just going into scale, right? And so get started and ask yourself the question, why am I avoiding this? And I love Tony Robbins going through this, and he says it, and it's a beautiful thing. Everything is hard. Is it hard to have no money? Oh, yeah. Is it hard to make money? Pick your hard, right? Is it hard to be out of shape? Is it hard to be in shape? Pick your hard, right? Is it hard to live in a tiny little house? Is it hard to live in a big house? Yeah, you got to take care of it. Pick your hard, right? Pick the hard you want. But the truth of the matter is, not one person in this market center is powerless over that. See, the damage happens when we tell ourselves the reason we can't is all the things external to us, when the truth is, it's always internal to us. So pick your hard. Do you want to live in the hard of not excelling, or do you want to live in the hard of, now I got to find out how to manage my money, right? So pick your hard. Imperfect something is better than nothing. Just a warning on the TCPA, because we have to make sure you're compliant, you're observing the do not call list, etc., etc. Telephone Consumer Privacy Act, or something like something like that. Okay. And so, yeah, thank you, Sam. So this, what we're looking at right here, is the lead generation model sheet. We can go over this at another one, but what I wanted to point out is the 411 tool. We're going to be talking about the 411 tool again very soon, probably talking about next week. We've got to, if we want to succeed, then our efforts have to be measurable, right? There's no business that doesn't check their metrics. And so your measurable is, what are your goals every month? How do your goals every month break down to your goals for every week? How do your goals for every week break down to your goals for every day? And let's track those mercilessly, right? Because when we do, we will see patterns develop very quickly. All right, guys, that's it. We don't have a sponsor for lunch today, so go find somebody here in the Market Center. Let's talk about some accountability and go get lunch. Make sense? 50-50 raffle. There you go. Samantha, if you would. All right, good deal.